disclosure. Sober disclosure. Breezy's a slut.
Jimmy likes it in the butt.
Are you or someone you know looking for support in recovery? Taste Recovery is your go-to directory for sober resources. Whether you're searching for treatment centers or sober living communities, Taste Recovery connects you with the right tools and support to help you on your journey. With a user-friendly platform and a comprehensive list of resources, Taste Recovery makes finding the help you need easier than ever. Start building your path to a healthier, sober life today. Visit tasterecovery.com to find the resources that work for you. Taste Recovery, your first step to a lasting positive change. Psst. Psst. Okay. I love balls. That's recorded. Hi, everyone. I'm Breezy.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we are
Sober
Disclosure.
Ooh. We are here with Lauren.
Sup?
She has fake tits and fake teeth.
That's true. It's the only fake thing about me. Everything else is real.
Oh, and she's a fake blonde.
No, I'm not. A little bit.
Oh my God. Lauren is one of our besties. She plays on our softball team. Okay, so...
And she's from Long Island, Jersey.
Long Island. Don't say Jersey.
Long
York,
Island,
Jersey.
New York. Long Island, New York.
She's
Kidding
like,
me
do
right
not say
now?
that.
I'm not from Jersey.
No.
That's an insult. Sorry, guys.
We love New Jersey people.
I know. I'm just
So if you're listening...
It's just a thing, Long Islanders. It's like, I am not from Jersey.
Yeah,
I'm from Long Island.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Jimmy has something he has to say.
If you're listening, we are on Spotify. We're at Sober Disclosure on Spotify and on YouTube. And we're at Sober Disclosure on Instagram. Please like and follow and subscribe and write a review.
And we're also on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. And soon TikTok, maybe.
If we ever get 2 minutes to figure anything out
That's
besides
true.
editing this podcast. Anyways, back to Lolo. Okay, so how much time sober do you have?
I will have 6 years in like 2 weeks.
Holy
God willing.
crap. Yeah. That's insane.
It's insane.
And is this your first time getting sober?
No.
No? How many
No.
times have you been sober roughly?
Probably, tried probably more times than I could count on my fingers and toes.
Spoken like a true
Well,
alcoholic.
not even really trying, but more so like everybody would stop me from drinking and then they'd be like, oh my God, you relapsed. And I was like, I wasn't trying to get sober. I was just like shutting up or stopping for a few days.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Please
trying
do.
to get healthy.
Yeah. No, not
So
even.
you
I
can
was trying to shut them up because they were on my
Oh.
case about my drinking.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay, but what about like actual
like
sobriety
actual
stints?
trying,
Yeah.
probably like 6 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as Jimmy likes to ask the question, what is your routine?
Yeah,
And he'll
tell us
explain
about your
it.
routine. So
And if you have listened to the podcast before,
you would know, but you're not our friend. She has not listened to one podcast
I'm
of ours.
busy. I'm sorry. I'm busy. I'm going to.
But shout
I'm
out to
busy.
Jesse, her fiance. He listens to all of them.
He's a good man.
Okay,
He
so
wanted to see what I was getting into. That's what he said.
Checks
so
out.
your routine is, do you know by doing the work on yourself, what is your triggering moments, what takes you out, like your emotional sobriety? Like mine would be like, I can't deal with not being loved and not being a part of. So when I would get into relationships, I would use that in my new sobriety, and then something would happen and I couldn't deal with it. So then I would relapse and try to get out of the relationship.
Yeah.
So
It's a
what is your
pattern.
routine?
What's your
it's a
pattern?
Yeah.
What's your pattern of like before this time of actually getting substantial amounts of recovery?
It was more just like doing it for like everyone around me and like playing this facade of like, I'm going to be the best person in my rehab group and like, look at me. And now I'm like, you know, voted the person that's like running this group, you know what I mean? And it was just like, oh, my ego, but it was all for everyone else.
Ooh.
And then I would do step work and I would just cater it to my sponsor. Like on my 4th step, I was like, oh no, she can't know that. Like I'm going to frame it this way and stuff like that. And
Okay.
It was only first when I hit rock bottom, because when I was in New York, my parents would just say to me, they'd be like, come here, you're 24, I'm gonna take your phone and your keys and your debit card. And then when I was out here and relapsed, I was like, oh, I don't know how to be homeless in California. So the only thing I could do was like get sober, that or literally be homeless.
And that was this time?
Yeah, that was this time. Because I almost had a year before this, and that time it was all just like I wasn't drinking, but I wasn't doing anything to stay sober at all.
Were you going to meetings out in New York?
No.
You've never been to a meeting in New York?
I think I've been to like
York
2.
Are horrible.
I've been to 2, and
The gay ones are good.
Other than like when I visited, I've gone to a couple, but like when I was actually out there, like I had people drag me and I just sat there. I was like, okay.
There's not that many young people, or like it's either people that are really, really old with a lot of time, right? That's my experience in New York.
I don't know if Long Island was a little different. I mean, they were good, but it was like their readings were different.
It's long.
It was weird. It was weird. But like I was out here, and that's when I almost had like a year of sobriety out here. I met and fell in love with a boy who worked at my rehab. 10 out of 10. Worked out great. He was horrible.
Tell us.
And well, he swindled me right in. And
wait, is that the one that was crazy and you found out he was doing the same thing to other girls?
Yes.
Oh, you told me that when you were getting your hair done.
Yeah, he was insane.
Oh
Tell us the story. Our listeners want to know.
Okay, so I met him. He worked at my rehab.
And you had 11 months?
When I met him, I had like 2 months.
2 months?
Yeah, but I was
if
out
you work
here.
at rehab and you're with a 2-month-year-old, you're a predator.
I know. I asked him if it bothered him, and he was like, "No, you're just so great." It didn't bother him at all.
Of course.
So we moved in together after 3 months of dating, and he was awful immediately. And
but you loved it.
It was comforting. It reminded me of my dad.
Oh.
I was like, this is my fate. But he was just a bad influence. I'd be like, let's go to a meeting. And he's like, no, let's order pizza. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, pizza sounds way
fine.
better than meeting.
Yeah. And then the few times I would go to meetings, I would tell people, I'm like, I'm on my way out. Like, I don't need to relapse. Like, I need to fuck up my entire life one more time. Like, it was like
you knew it inside you.
Yeah. And then I was just waiting for something, and then found out he cheated on me, and I was like, bam, perfect, let's go.
Your window.
Yeah. And then I went out for 4 days. It was awful. And then that's when I was like, okay, well, and I only had one dog at the time, but I was like, I can't be homeless with my dog. Like, it's hot out here. I have my car, but I was like, I can't leave him in a car. And so I literally called the only person I knew, and she took me in, and I lived in her dining room behind a curtain on a cot with all my stuff filled into like an 8x6 area.
Yeah,
and who was she?
My old roommate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She was your old roommate,
Yeah.
just someone in the program, or no?
No, I met her at rehab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then so we lived together for a couple of years, but it was then that I realized like I was putting my all into everything else around me, and I never actually wanted it before that. Like when I was in rehab, I was staying sober because I was in rehab. When I was in sober living, I wasn't really staying sober, but when I got caught too many times, then it was like, I gotta stay sober if I want to live here. And then I moved in with him, and I was like, oh, I gotta stay sober. Like, and now I have my first apartment, and then I didn't have anything, and I was like, okay, like I actually don't want to die anymore, which is weird.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had I couldn't rely on my roommate. I couldn't rely on anyone. Like, I just had to go and do this thing. And I said to myself, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to do all the things that they tell you to do, which I thought was freaking bullshit. And it worked.
And it worked.
It's
so annoying that it worked.
I know.
How is living on someone's living or dining room with a cot for the first year? How did you maneuver through that and stuff like that?
Honestly,
like sleep, meetings, like what was your routine?
Okay. I just work, eat, sleep, meetings. And actually my first meeting that I went to, which I think you might have heard this story, but I went to this meeting, and I was just like built, like my emotions were like about to pour out of my mouth, right? Like I just wanted to share, like I was holding in tears walking in, and this guy was talking, and I pulled my phone out because he said a word that I didn't know. So I pulled it out to Google this word, and this lady like tapped me on the shoulder. She was like, "Put your phone away." And I was like, he said, I don't remember what fucking word it was. I was like, oh, he said this word. I was just Googling it. She was like, I don't care. We don't have phones here. And immediately just like sobbing. And this lady, she was so horrendous. Every person shared. She was like, woo, yeah. I finally shared, and the whole, like, I couldn't breathe. I was hyperventilating and
you were like,
silent.
what, 1 day?
I was like 4 days sober, and I said that, like, I said everything. She didn't clap. And I left, and I was like, screw this. Like, they say go to meetings. I went to a meeting. Look what happened. Everybody hates me. Like, I'm awful. Like, I'm just, I have free will to go stop at a liquor store on the way home. But I literally heard it. It was like, try again. Try again.
I want to talk about what you just said.
What?
Because I feel like when I met you, you said the same thing, and it's maybe a character defect that comes up for you. And maybe you realize that in your first year is you went to the meeting and now I don't want to go because everybody hates me.
Yeah.
And so when you came to our softball team, being me, her first time, she thought I didn't like her, but I told her, Lauren, if I make fun of you, it's because I like you.
Yeah.
So there's a difference
That flipped
between...
a switch in my head too. I was like, oh, he's being mean to me. Like, he loves me.
But it's like a brotherly mean,
Yeah, it's not like anything.
Yeah, and so then you had to kind of change the way you think.
Oh, yeah.
Little by little. That sounds better. You had to change the way you think, and kind of like as they come up, you have to kind of go through that.
Yeah. No,
Tell us a little bit about that.
It was just like my entire life to just like keep peace, like with my family at home. It was like I had to act a certain way to avoid, like, I don't want to say conflict, like
it is,
like conflict. So
yeah.
I would, it was almost like every emotion except happiness was not okay. And I just like carried that with me, where it was just like these intense people pleasing, and then someone would make an expression about like something else that has nothing to do with me, and I'm like, they fucking hate me.
Yeah.
They hate me. And it stemmed from like high school, like too. I had a lot of friend groups that just kicked me out, some for good reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We talked about that at brunch.
But a lot of them for like no reason.
Yeah.
And it was really hurt. Like, it would be like we would all hang out one day, and then the next day nobody, like, I remember one time I went to Main Street, I don't know, in town at Long Island. Anyway, I went to Main Street to meet up with these people, and they were like, I'd get to a store and they'd be like, oh, now we're here. And I'd get there, they'd be like, now we're here. And I'm like 12. And then I got to like the other store, and I saw them inside, and I called them to be like, hey, I see you now, I'm walking in. And they were like, oh, I just got to my mom's work, I have to go, like, we actually can't hang out today. And I was like, I literally see you right now in this pizza place. And where they would just like, oh, fuck Lauren, for like no reason. And so I just always, and it's, I've gotten a lot better, thank the Lord for therapy, but I would always just think that everybody hated me, and then I would always conform to like however this group was or this group was. But I literally said to Jesse, like, before I played softball Thursday, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna be exactly myself, and if they don't like me, fuck them.
Yeah.
And like, obviously you guys loved me, and I was just like, oh my god, like, I'm just being myself and they like me. This is crazy. What a concept.
And that was like, what, 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
Time is like
2 years. Oh my god, I feel like that was last year. That was 2 years.
No,
it was 2 years ago.
It was 2 years ago. Yeah. And yeah, it just like, I really had to learn, like, what helped me was also not finding manipulation, or not manipulating validation in like ways like, oh, let me text this person to see how they respond to me right now, and if they still like me.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, hey, yeah, like, everything's good, how are, whatever. And I'm like, oh, see, they answered me in 2 seconds, they like me. Or like, oh, let me call this person and tell them this, like, for no reason, because I want to see, like all that I had to stop
that's
and
literally
like deal with
tiring.
it and be like, oh, it's exhausting, and be
It's
like,
exhausting, yeah.
like, these people love me. They've never excluded me from anything. They always invite me. I'm in every single group chat. And just like find that validation like in myself rather than other people. And then once I started doing that, it just like, and also I was like trying to fit in with the wrong people, not like wrong people for me for a long time that actually didn't care about me. And so once I found you guys, I was just like,
did you want to say something?
No, you're good.
I did wanted to say, okay, can you tell us if you remember, because all of that you're realizing, you said therapy. So by you working a strong program and doing, a 12-step program and everything, did you find that out more while you were doing stuff like that? You always knew that a little bit, but you did work on it, right?
yeah.
So then how was it? Like, did you like say, oh, I'm doing this now, and talked yourself down? You called somebody, like, what did you do to kind of get yourself out of, in that, I want to say this, but correct me if I'm victim mentality.
Oh no, it totally was. Yeah. It's like a hard, I don't know. Hold on, I lost it. It's gone. Hold on.
Take your time.
Fuck, what was the question?
How did you work through that, knowing that now that you're sober, like the 12 steps, 12-step program, the steps you took, and when the character because that's a character defect.
Oh, for sure.
When it comes up, how did you tackle it? So now you said, I'm finally going to be in this team and I don't care.
Yeah.
So how did you come to that place with the work?
It was more so just like I ignored it for so long, and it was like, I worked on so many other things that I got through, and then all of a sudden it just hit me in the face like a freaking ton of bricks.
That happens.
Like this group of people that I was trying to fit in with that like frankly didn't care about me, which I'm glad now because they were awful. Like I was just like, I don't even want to be friends with these people. Like, why am I trying? You know what I mean? And it was just kind of like, now I'm hit with it like head on, and so I feel like it was the perfect time for me to deal with it. Like I almost, I avoided it for so long, but then when it all hit me, I was like, oh wow, here's this too that I didn't realize because I was in the victim mentality of like, oh my God, poor me, everybody hates me.
And that was around your 4 years. I actually do remember celebrating your 4 years, so it was around that point. So bring it back to your first year of sobriety when like you weren't even aware that was happening. What did your friendships look like? What did parties look like? What did anything, celebrating you look like when you
had the 1 year?
Yeah, like when you were trying
from when the
so
4
hard.
years where everyone came to your house.
Yeah, when you were trying so hard to fit in. No, I'm not talking about 4 years. Like how that, because, hindsight, obviously now, you realized all of this at 4 years, but that was probably still very much a part of your story your first year. And I can imagine when you're newly sober and you have that thought process of like, everyone hates me, it's got to be really hard to go to meetings and try to fit in. You know what I mean? Because I remember I had a therapist who was also in the 12-step program, and he told me, he was like, if I didn't,
was a guy?
Yeah, he was like, if I didn't find a meeting where I found people that I wanted to be in a community with and be a part of, like, I don't think I would have stayed sober.
That's true.
So it's like, that is such a huge piece of the triangle.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you constantly are thinking everyone hates you, how do you stay sober through that?
Yeah. Honestly, it was exhausting because I, again, was just trying to conform to whoever I was around. And I didn't really have that many friends. I only really have
your dog.
My 3 dogs. Oh, him, yeah. Lenny, my first dog. Yeah. He is part of the reason that I was like, oh my God, this poor baby.
Yeah.
I can't. But it was exhausting just trying to conform all the time rather than just be. And then even for my first year of sobriety, like it was kind of when I first started like hanging out with people in my home group in Aliso, and I we all got together for a movie night. Oh, okay. This is a funny story.
Oh, you remember?
It was like, I think I had like 10 months or something, and I was at my home group, and I was raising my hand to share, but I'm like raising it like this because like I was so I didn't talk like at all. I
That's
was
very
so
hard to believe.
No, my first year I never shared it.
Yeah,
From both
and
of
if I
you.
was called on, I was like, "Hi, my name's Lauren." I was like, but I was raising my hand because again, I feel the tears like welting up, right? And actually, it was right after. Now that I'm thinking about it, it was right after the meeting with that lady actually because I got a new sponsor. I'm just remembering everything now. I feel like it's been so long it hasn't. I was trying to find a new sponsor, so I went to that meeting because I could see myself slipping again. And then that happened with that lady, and then I went to this.
So it wasn't 4 days.
Yeah, no. Okay. I don't think so. I'm like trying. I've had so many like 3 weeks sober. Like it's hard, but I don't think it was. I think it was I was going to meetings here and there, and then finally I was like, I'm slipping, I'm gonna relapse, and then I went to that meeting, that thing with that lady happened.
And then you tried raising your hand.
And then I went, like, the thing with the lady happened, and then I went to this next meeting that's, like, now my home group, and I'm, like, raising my hand again, and I didn't get called on, and I remember I left, and I was just waiting to get into my car to, like, sob, because I just so badly needed to talk to somebody, because I was, like, at that point, I didn't even want to drink. I just was like, I need help right now. And so we left, and I'm like gunning to my car, and this girl's like, hey, like I saw that you were raising your hand and didn't get called on. Do you want to share what you were going to share with me? And like immediately just started sobbing.
I'm going to cry.
Like, I know. I thought
I was going to laugh with Lauren.
Oh my God. And I told her, I was like, I have no friends. Like, I just want friends. I have nobody to hang out. I had no one.
Yeah.
I had nobody. Like, oh God, fuck, guys.
Lauren, you're a friend.
I know.
Jimmy's never cried on the podcast.
This is the first time I'm crying on the podcast.
You're welcome.
This is the first time all three of us are crying.
Oh my God.
I don't like when people don't feel a part of, because I don't like that. Or left out. You know?
It was awful, but this girl was great. Like
Is she your friend still?
I see her sometimes, but we don't talk. But
did you tell her how much she helped you?
No, but I should.
Lauren!
Mel, I love you, Mel. No, I have.
Oh,
a million times. Yeah, I have. I haven't seen her. I don't go to that meeting as often.
Oh my God, I hope she listens to this podcast
and
realizes
she's amazing.
what a huge impact she made in your life.
Even it got better because then she, like, I was just sobbing about how I had no friends.
She's like, let me talk to this flat-chested girl.
I know. She was like, you don't even have titties. Sorry. Oh my God. And she was like, oh, we're having a movie night this Friday. Like, do you want to come? And I was like, okay. And I was so scared. Like, I was literally shaking walking up there. I was like, they're going to hate me. They're going to think I'm weird. They're going to think I'm ugly. They're going to think I have no boobs. And they were so nice. And they were like, oh, like, how much time do you have? And like, I was like, oh, 10 months. And they were like, oh, what are you doing for your 1 year? And I was like, oh, it's like, I don't know, like nothing. And they were like, well, we're going to celebrate you. And then so we went to this girl's house and they like celebrated me. And I was just like, it was like my first taste of what sobriety is all about, like people
like a community.
and sobriety. Yeah, because I was just like, oh my God, I don't know any of these girls. So it was like 4 or 5 of us, and I just kind of like lost touch with most of them, except for one of them, Andrea. You know her. So she's like been the OG. And then and I remember going back to my house and just like crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, like. And we would like hang out, and I was like, I have friends. Yeah. I was like, this is weird, because by that point I was out here for like going on 3 years, like in California.
And you know what? It's important for you to tell people stuff like this, especially in your first year, because I'm Lauren's friend and I didn't know that story, and now I know how to show up for you.
Love you.
Do you know what I mean?
Thank
like
you.
I do. And just so you know, I'm not a douchebag. I'm not always making fun of her boobs, but I am, because she always is talking about her boobs on her game, so it's like an open door.
Yeah. Is my
So I'm
foot
not
wet?
like this like sexist man.
What? Oh,
What is it?
it's the water.
From the plant?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
In my sock. I was like, did I spill my water? Okay.
Oh my god. I overwatered my plant and it's overflowing.
It's this side of my foot that's wet, so I'm not gonna get the chair wet.
We'll do it after.
We're good.
So
We're
We're
good.
good.
Yeah.
I was like,
You
no, my
literally-
foot's not wet. It's just cold.
I
And I
went like
looked down and
this.
I'm like,
I'm like,
oh,
Lauren, did you pee?
no. Oh my god.
Okay, so then
Yeah, so I for people that don't know, because I feel like I'm at a advantage here. I know so much of your story
Yeah.
and why this was so important to you. Can you go into a little bit about that, like before getting sober and like the struggles of that and just like the mindset of thinking that is like being the lone wolf in your addiction, like you're just like so stuck in that mentality that you don't even realize that there is a light on the other side,
Yeah.
and just like how much friendship has impacted you.
Yeah. And that's so well said, because I mean, beforehand, like I just remember laying in my bed and just like laying there and being like, I don't have one person I can call right now.
Ooh.
Like there is not one person
Yeah.
that I could call. And then when I got sober, it was kind of just like I was stuck there, and I was depriving myself a little bit, but also just like not, well, yeah, depriving myself, because I wasn't putting myself out there, because I'm still telling myself all these things. Like I was so mean to myself internally, where I was just like, I'm worthless. I'm a piece of shit. I don't deserve this. Like spinning on all the stuff that I did in my addiction and letting it eat me alive, and just convincing myself that like I'm horrible and nobody wants to be around me.
Yeah.
It was so just debilitating.
Yeah.
Honestly. And it was like once it finally clicked for me that this was something that is actually going to help me, and not where I'm going to walk into a room and everyone's going to judge me, and
Yeah.
you know, no one's thinking about me when I leave, no one's whispering about me when I leave. It just, you know, it made me be able to come out of myself and like raise my hand in a meeting, because that, like I said, I never talked.
Yeah.
I never talked in meetings. And it was just really rejuvenating to like, allow myself that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have you seen other women in meetings like same thing, go to raise
Oh,
their
yeah.
hand and then they don't get called
just
on?
like you.
And
Oh,
then
yeah.
you go and help and, share.
And I've heard my exact story of like, I came out here for rehab. I don't know if I should stay, and I just want to shake them and be like, please fucking stay and
Yeah.
get away from everything. But those are the people that I try to talk to,
Mhm.
because I've gone up to them and be like, I see myself in you so much that I want to cry.
Yeah.
Like I was like, please keep going,
Mhm.
because there is a light. I didn't see the light. I thought everyone was absolutely insane. My first year of sobriety, I was like, you guys are all crazy. You guys all cry on the way home too. Like there is no way that you are this happy and laughing and like doing like all
That's
getting
great.
together. And I'm just like, meanwhile, I get in my car and I'm pissed at everything.
Yeah.
Everything and everyone. I'm like, what this person said, I'm like, they're a fucking idiot. They're lying. There's no way they feel this way. And then I also didn't believe that people in the room like felt the way I did.
Mhm.
So that's why whenever I share or speak or anything, I try to say like, you might be sitting here thinking that nobody in the room feels like you do, but we all did.
Yeah. At one point.
At
All
one
of
point,
us.
yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all did at one point.
Yeah, I can relate to that so much. I remember because I got sober out in Florida, and I was a part of this like really solid group of people who, it was like guys and girls, and they all had time. And then I came back home to California, and it took me so long to find that. And I remember on my first year, I wrote myself a note of all the things that I was like hoping to get out of sobriety, and top of the list was friends. Like I was just
Aw.
it really is so unbelievably important.
It is.
And I feel like people don't realize it. Like, it's not fun and cool to be the
No.
lone wolf anymore.
it
Like,
No.
and I get it. We all come in with so much trauma of thinking that, like, because we also were backstabbing people left and right, that like that's what everyone's going to be doing.
Yeah.
But
like a
it's
chip
not.
on your shoulder. In a
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah,
It's
for
not.
sure. Yeah.
I actually just remembered something.
What?
Uh-oh.
And with your story, you always, like what you said, I'm always going to relate to something,
Yeah.
you know? And it's always important when you're like trying to get sober your first year, always take like what you relate to and just leave the rest if you don't like it, you know? Like with the story is I had friends. I have good friends from high school. But that is not enough because I can go to them and talk to them about certain things, but I still felt alone because
Yeah.
I needed friends in sobriety.
Like-minded.
Yes, like-minded, especially in the gay community.
Yeah.
And I started going to gay meetings. I would only go to straight, but I started going to gay meetings so I can build healthy relationships with other gay people.
Yeah.
My first year, I would not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I would be so scared to talk to other gay people because I felt like that, like catty, which some are, but a lot of them aren't. I didn't want to go up to them. So I was causing a barrier myself with these people, and I would stay in the room when the smoke break came because I was so terrified to talk to them.
Yeah.
And then when I would read something, I would read so fast that people would laugh at me. But I got really sad about it, but thinking back, maybe they were just laughing because I was funny
Yeah.
and not because I was reading fast, but I was making it more like to like make myself right of them not liking me.
Yeah.
Because now I have a lot of friends in the gay rooms and, you know, everyone's this, you know, and I try to do that. Like if someone's like kind of
Yeah.
I
You
think
know,
it all is like
in the sidelines.
what you give is what you get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm just like realizing like.
And we were giving zero.
Yeah. And especially.
We were.
I was, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
until you give something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like the first, like I had 11 months and some change, and like I was with that idiot of a boyfriend, right? But even like before that, when I was relapsing in rehab, every single meeting, like I would refuse to go to women's meetings. I would go to co-ed, and every single guy would be like, "Is that my future husband? Is that my future?" Like the whole time, like a psychopath, and I would.
I think
I would
everyone does
literally
that.
but I would fixate, and I was like every man, and then I'm like, you know, I just still needed that male attention, and then I dated that idiot, and then like, you know, I relapsed, and I was like, never again am I going to give a man that power over me to make me, you know, not that it was his fault, like I'm like in charge of my own decisions, but I didn't build myself up enough to have that cushion to like,
Yeah.
if shit hits the fan, I have this. I had nothing, so I went out, and then, you know, when I came back, I would not, if a man even looked at me, like for like a year and a half, I was like, don't look at me, like only women's meetings. If a guy nodded at me, I was like, you're disgusting, get away from me. Until I met my fiance, who's amazing. I love you, babe. Hi.
We love Jesse.
I know, he's wonderful, but yeah, and that was it. Like, it was like, I wasn't going to meetings to listen or to help or to get help.
You were looking for a man.
I was looking for a man, and I was on the freaking hunt. And like, you know, the first one that gave me attention, I'm like, sure, you work at my rehab and you want to move in together after 2 months. Like, this is absolutely wonderful.
Wait,
It's
when you
paid.
say at your rehab, like you were a client at your rehab, or you were
I
also
was-
working at the rehab?
No, I wasn't working there. I was a
You were a
client.
client.
I was in the sober living, but he
Yeah.
drove me home from church, and then like was like, take my number if you ever need a ride from church again. And then we're texting.
Fucking liar.
The rest is history. He was crazy. Like I said, he did to me what he did like to the 2 girls before
He's
me
like,
and the
"Here's some
girls
candy."
after me. He was insane. But I just, I was like, I spent the first year of like this sobriety, the important one that stuck,
Yeah.
like working on my fucking self.
Yeah.
Like journaling every night, praying every morning, every night, going to meetings like 5 days a week, being of service of what I could be. If someone asked me to pick up cigarette butts, I'm like, sure, like absolutely, and staying after. And then I met those girls that I was telling you about, and it was like, And I also moved out and got a place on my own, which I felt like at that point, like, was I lonely? Yeah, maybe on like holidays and stuff, or I'd get FOMO from my family doing stuff back at home. But I was at that point, I felt like I was alone, but I wasn't lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such this like switch where I was just having these
Like a spiritual awakening?
yeah, like I was having these intense aha moments, even
There's a river.
literally all the way over
There's
there.
a river.
Oh, is that what you're
So-
looking at? I thought you were laughing at me. See, I'm the victim. Like,
It's literally gone all the way over to the other
We'll
mirror.
clean it after.
it's fine. At least it's not carpet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was having these aha moments of, and I even didn't like I wasn't even like that spiritual, but I'm praying, and then I'm like, oh my gosh.
What did you
like,
ask in your meditation or your prayers?
I would just be like, God, help me and help me help others. Like I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly that early on, to be honest, but I remember I would also pray for like things that I needed settled, and also to like help me be of service throughout my day. And then I remember I called my sponsor and I was like, you know, it's so weird. I'm like praying for this stuff and it's just like happening. Like, what a coincidence. And she's like, there's no coincidences, sweetie. Like your prayers are being heard. And it was just like this moment where it was just like this man in the sky that I'm like praying to that I didn't believe in, but I was doing it anyways. All of a sudden it was something that I was like, oh my gosh, this really is this power greater than me that is saving me, because I've tried to do it my way and save myself so many times and it never worked. And it was never, I mean, I could say it was fun all I want. It was not fun. It was awful.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. I love you
Thanks.
so much.
I love you so much. Let's all cry again.
Well, I want to talk about the spiritual stuff, because you said you're praying to someone in the beginning that you did not really believe in.
Oh yeah, like at all.
Were
And
you
then-
raised
At all.
in the church or anything?
So I went to like religion classes for like a Catholic church, but it was like God wasn't really
Catechism.
God wasn't like talked about in my house, but it was like, you need to go to these religion classes. You're gonna, you know, make your communion, and we're gonna go to church on Christmas Day. And then it's like in like the Catholic Church, which, not bashing it at all, it just was not for me. It was like, hey, if you sin, you're going to hell. And then I'm like 7 years old. I'm like, well, I've lied so much, I'm already going. So what does it matter what I do now? I'm already going. And then I used that as like a ploy to just do whatever the hell I wanted as a 7-year-old.
Oh my god, that is keep going.
But then yeah, so I was just like, my view of God or anything spiritual was like, do this or you're gonna be punished. And I had to really come into the understanding of like a power greater than myself to my understanding. And it was one of those things where I was like, all right, I'm gonna shut up and listen, and my sponsor's telling me to pray, so I'm like on my knees, I'm like, dear God, blah 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 blah, you know, like, and I'm like literally I'm speaking out loud and I'm saying in my head, this is bullshit, this is bullshit. But then like stuff just started happening, and I just like I just really started to understand that like it is not my will, and it may not be a man in the sky, it may be a force, I don't know what it is, but I talk to it and it helps me.
No, what I wanted to say is, because then by doing that and you started really opening your mind and emotionally everything, that you started kind of like saying, okay, there is someone on my side.
Yeah.
I'm connecting the dots, where when you're first year, you're kind of like thinking about other things. What I want to tell people is those are always there.
Yeah.
You're just not aware.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you raising your hand and then someone seeing you.
Yeah.
And you prayed that I want to do it this time.
Yeah.
All of that connects together, because it's not the way you want it to be, not a burning bush. Like, God's not going to come down, or whoever you believe in is not going to come down and say you're sober, struck you sober. But it's set up in a way where it kind of builds up this understand, like you, so then that creates long-term sobriety.
Yeah.
So what will you say? Open your eyes your first year. Things are happening around you they're not coincidences.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need to
Absolutely.
connect the dots and just go from there, and it will all kind of like, you'll see the big picture later.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's what, like, I look back now at like the like detailed spider web of my life and just like how I, met you guys and like
Yeah.
and my sponsor and all this stuff. And
And you know
like,
what? We're probably the best people where you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna be myself.
oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what? You
I'm
were
like,
placed
you
in our
guys are who
team.
I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like-
you were placed in our team for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
We're
honestly.
crazy.
They're literally insane.
We're crazy.
Yeah, and I'm like, thank God, because like we can sit here and have these
Yeah.
deep conversations, and then we can be like totally unhinged.
Yeah, and
5
we're
minutes
nerds.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're nerds.
We
We're
love game
all
night.
these things. Yeah, we love
Yeah.
game night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We love people being themselves.
And you know what? If
Yeah.
you haven't found that yet, you can start that group.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the coolest thing about our manager
Yeah.
who
I
started our
thought you were gonna
softball
say.
team.
I thought you were gonna say message us.
Oh no, we have too many
Come
people.
hang
I'm just
out.
kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but that was the thing with David, our manager of our softball team.
Yeah.
Is like
Yeah.
he wanted a community so badly, and so he just fucking created it.
Yeah.
And it's like if you get miserable enough, you just do it. Like
You have to do it.
Like when I was asked to be on the softball team, I was like, I don't really know if this is what I should do. But then I was like, I just have to fucking do it. I've been praying for friends.
Yeah.
Just fucking say yes.
Yeah.
And that's such a big important
Yeah.
thing about your sobriety. And really, when you get enough time, you start realizing the more times I say yes, the more times God keeps showing up in my life.
Yes.
Absolutely. And like you guys were always out there. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you guys were doing your thing. Like
We saw you at tournaments.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm like, if we like God will help you find your people. And I honestly feel like maybe if we met then, it would have been a shit show because I was still a shit show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had to do so much vigorous work on myself because of all of my relapses that
Mhm.
like it took me so much to not be the person I was
Yeah.
when I was drinking. And I probably would have been a disaster and ruined everything, and then I'd have no friends again.
Again.
And then I'd
With
be like
3 dogs
missing out.
instead of
Yeah.
one.
Oh my God, thank God for dogs.
Okay, so for those that are in their first year of sobriety, what is one piece of advice that you have for them?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it's just like keep doing it. Keep doing what other people have done before you and that you see that they're doing and that they're suggesting that you do, because it might not take a week or a month or 6 months, but like it will click and you're going to turn around and be like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not having cravings anymore.
Mhm.
Holy crap. I don't want to kill myself anymore. I don't want to die anymore. Like if you just keep doing it and just cliche as it sounds, don't drink no matter what.
Yeah.
Like
Holy crap, I have
Re-
friends.
yeah, and you'll
Yeah.
find your freaking people.
Yeah.
Like it's hard. Like I started from scratch. When I came out here, they said bring a suitcase with 7 days worth of clothes. That's what I had. I had like 10 pairs of underwear and like 10 pairs of socks. Like that's all I had. And like not that the material stuff matters, but like I started with nothing and now I have everything, and it is not like the money, the cars, this, that. It's like the friends,
Yeah.
the community, and like the love. I'm getting freaking married. Someone wants to marry me. Like I'm crazy, but in
The girl who thought
not in a-
everyone hated
not
her.
in a
I
bad
know.
way anymore. I know.
Yeah.
But it's like all those things that you are dreaming of
Mm-hmm.
will come,
Yeah.
starting with like just the contentness
Yeah.
through the hard work. Do the hard work.
Yeah.
Like do
Yeah.
it. You got to look at I had to look at all those parts of myself where I would be, going through stuff and I would just be thinking or like working on something that I did in my past or that happened to me in my past, and it hurt so bad. But if I didn't have to relive those things in that moment, I would not be sitting here, because if I didn't get through that now, that would have ate me alive and I would have drank.
Yeah.
Like you got to face it.
So unfortunately, I only have one question left, and then we have to wrap up. It went so fast.
It
Can I
did go
come back?
That's what everyone says. It goes too fast.
It does.
Okay, so was there one piece of advice that you got in your first year that has stuck with you throughout these 6 years?
Oh gosh.
That's just like, that is what kept you sober. Like it just in those dark moments, it just kept
It
going in your head. Yeah.
in your head over and
Yeah.
over.
It was honestly that, like, you know, this is literally do or die. Like, you do this or you could die. And I've seen so many friends, so many loved ones die from this disease. Been sober for 2 years, goes out, relapses once, dead. You know, like, that's just the sorry. I'm sorry. But that's just like the reality of it, is like that's how it is. And like my last relapse, like I was stop it. What's going on?
I don't know.
Am I really making Jimmy cry twice?
You know what? It just reminds me of like all my friends that passed.
No, it's true. And like my last relapse, I tried to kill myself, to like not say it lightly. I tried to kill myself, and I woke up and I was happy that I was awake. And it was just like, oh my God, like, because I wanted to die for so long. I was like, I don't want to die anymore. Like, if I go out again, I do not have one more in me. I didn't. I knew I didn't, especially because of my last relapse. Like, I knew I didn't. And I was just like, I need to fight through this because, you know, I actually want to do all these things that you're supposed to do in life, like get married and have friends and have fun and go on a freaking podcast. Like, what? This is insane.
Our little podcast
I know.
in Costa Mesa.
I know.
Oh my God.
At a dead end street.
Oh my God. Give them the address, Jimmy. They could all come hang out.
765 St. Clair. I don't care. I have a ring cam, so
Don't break in.
I don't care.
No, I love that answer. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it is so incredibly true. And it really is just one day at a time, because it doesn't matter how much time you have. Life keeps happening. And
And we love you, Lauren.
yeah, we love you so
We
much.
love you so
I
much.
love you guys.
We don't ever talk shit about you.
Thank you. I'm honored. Don't talk shit about you guys either. Oh my God.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. I'm Breezy.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we are
Sober Disclosure.
Yay!
Woo! Thanks,
Go,
guys.
Mama.
Oh my
Go,
God. This episode is brought to you by Light Salon, Orange County's premier destination for expert hair color. At Light Salon, we specialize in creating stunning custom color transformations that highlight your natural beauty. Owned and operated by passionate, sober stylists, we bring authenticity, creativity, and precision to every client experience. Light Salon.